Hi families, I'm Mr. Morse and I want to give you a quick overview of what to expect in chemistry class with me and throughout the whole school year, no matter which teacher you have for Chemistry 2. So one of the things we have in common is hopefully a pretty organized Canvas page. We'll always have a set of links across the top that we won't use on a day-to-day basis, but have some important things that I'll show you later. We have our learning targets, meaning what are the skills we're hoping that the students will work on that week and during that unit, and we always do our best to have the upcoming quizzes and tests posted as early as possible so that students can be very prepared for that. Within class, almost everything is hyperlinked. Students will get paper copies of labs, worksheets, and notes in class, but we have a digital copy if they want to come back to it later, or if they miss a day and need to see it when they are gone. But the most important thing is that chemistry takes practice, and we want to make sure we're practicing the right way. So you'll notice here we have the term answers and keys and completed linked a lot, because it's not just about, we're not expecting students to figure everything out perfectly. We want to give them those resources to continue with their practice. Right here, we'll see the columns of due today and homework. We have a couple different types of homework assignments that we do. We'll do things with Canvas that we call learning activities. It's called a learning activity because students can do this activity as many times as necessary to practice that skill, and we're going to keep the highest score for them. Sometimes we need to practice something 2 to 3 times before we have mastered it, or sometimes we need to do it, get a little bit of help, and then try it again with either a classmate or a teacher during core or class to improve. So we are learning throughout the process of that activity. We also use an online program called Mastering Chemistry that is linked to chemistry standards and to our chemistry textbook. Students can also refer to it right here. And when they do that, they will see what the assignment is. And those are designed to specifically build certain skills. And they're often formatted a little bit better than what we can do through Canvas. So it makes it more student friendly and more chemistry friendly. The other things that we do are quizzes, but we don't just call these a quiz, we call them a BQ or a benchmark quiz. When a quiz is graded, it will have a score and it will appear in PowerSchool and Canvas as a traditional quiz grade. They got a certain number of points out of a total. But when we score them based upon how well is the student demonstrating each skill. How good are they doing at determining what the atomic number means, determining and doing the calculations for average atomic mass. Do they know how to evaluate and calculate the charge? So the grading is a little bit different, but that allows us to work with students and to communicate very clearly to them what have they mastered and what do they need to improve. Throughout a unit, we'll often have more than one benchmark quiz that'll keep building those skills, and the new quiz score will replace the previous quiz score. So as we practice throughout throughout a unit, there we go, a student's grade may go up, may stay the same, or occasionally, as we add harder skills, may go down a little bit until we've practiced it. But by the time we get to the end of the unit, we will have done 2 or 3 quizzes. And if that final quiz doesn't show a grade that they are happy with, we're going to have an opportunity, both in class, but also in core, for students to learn and practice those skills a little bit more. We make very specific assignments that help them to see what they did right, what they did wrong, and to know how they can do better on that. And then they would do a retake, which would replace their score. Students who do generally really well, A's and B's, may not want to or need to do a retake, but if we struggle a little bit more and we need a little bit more practice on those quizzes, we would have retakes. We'll have a unit test every 2 to 3 weeks, depending on how large the topic and the unit is. Our first one is a little bit shorter of a unit, so it's a shorter quiz, and it comes a little bit, shorter test, and it comes a little bit sooner. For those, we always have a review day the day before, much like this. We have a student reflection or a vocab sheet, and I'll show you that in a moment, for students to know what they know and what they need to know. The review sheet, however, has all of the possible skills and some practice. On tests, there is no opportunity for retakes, for redos, for corrections. We have done our best to build the practice through homework, through quizzes to get students really, really ready for those tests. And they'll always know, just like this, exactly what will the format of that test look like. What skills do I need to have, and where will those things be? Another thing that students are going to get is a unit by unit self-evaluation sheet. It's going to remind them what are the notes, what are the assignments, what are the worksheets, and what are the labs that we did, and give them a chance to keep track of how they have done on each of those and to evaluate their knowledge. It's also going to give them a place where they can collect all of their vocabulary in one single place so that they don't have to look into multiple packets, multiple worksheets, or on multiple labs to find all the key terms. The last thing is, after a quiz, it will have the scoring guidelines that we used for that quiz. Like I said, for example, average atomic mass or charge, and how they performed on that, with the opportunity to reflect. Did they score the way they expected to, and what might they want to do or need to do differently to improve that? So this sheet is one that they will do each unit, and we do collect that and check that on test day. It holds students accountable to knowing the terms, and it holds them accountable to understanding what is the work that they're going to be doing leading up to that. I've got my contact info right here. Email is the best way to get in touch with me for sure, because I do move rooms a few times throughout the day, and we've got our grading policies. Many of these other links a parent wouldn't need too much, but students will use past weeks to navigate from one week to a previous, like on most Canvas pages. So really quickly, my contact info is there, and you can see how to contact me. I will be sending talking points occasionally, but that's always a place that you're welcome to reach out to me as well. And specifically, we've got more details on the grading policies. Our assessments, meaning our tests and quizzes, make up 80% of a student's grade. 50% is the tests. We build up to that, and hopefully we're really ready, and those test grades stay constant. Quizzes make up 30% of the overall grade, and those have that opportunity for improvement and retaking. And then our homework is 20%. We want most students to be in the homework and classwork category very, very high. We want to end with an A or at lowest a B in terms of our practice, since we have multiple attempts. We want to quiz until we feel confident, whether that's an A, B, or a C, because that's what sets us up for success on the test. There is a small late penalty for work, because that helps students stay on task and on time. 10% off, but if it is turned in after the day that it is due, but there is not a additional penalty if it's 2, 3, or 4 days late. In fact, we will always remind students that they can turn things in up to the day of the test, or even if they need a little bit of extra leeway, up until 3 days after the test. So many of the policies are laid out here in more detail, and we know that many teachers have similar policies, and it's hard to remember exactly what to expect from teacher to teacher. But what students can really expect is a few homework assignments per week, often with time to start them in class to build a skill, often 1 to 2 benchmark quizzes per week to practice that skill and get specific feedback as to how they are mastering it. And then every few weeks we will have a test to put everything together and to see how well we are doing in the overall content. Students, parents, families, welcome to reach out at any time through talking points and or Canvas and or email, and I'm happy to help. We're definitely going to be using our class time as effectively as possible, and we're going to have additional opportunities for success and improvement during core. So if you have questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'm looking forward to an awesome trimester and a great start to the overall school year.